Now I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm not on mute. It might be my computer. Hey. Okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you. All right, we're good. Okay. Phew. We're gonna get it figured out, ain't we?
Yeah.
All right, let me get back on. Let me get live on TikTok, and then we will start. Appreciate you bearing with me. I usually try to do this at least one time beforehand, and so that we know how to do it. But it's been crazy for me lately. So.
Yeah, I've been thinking, how am I going to get on this if I have a technical issue? And
I know I really need to make sure, like, I carve out time to do it at least one time so that we can. Just for a trial and error, you know what I mean? Just in case, because this is not the first time that happened.
And I didn't think to check my spam.
I think we could use
Yeah, the DigiSigner, yeah, that's just a guess. It just gives me permission to use the picture and all stuff.
Well, that came right to my email. It didn't go to spam.
Okay, let's just use them for the edge.
1 second, Tracy. My phone is being crazy now. I've got to get a new phone. I've been thinking this whole time, like, I'll cut out on my lives sometimes and have to get kicked out and come back in and stuff. And I've been wondering, like, I thought it was service because I live in the mountains, but it's not. It's my phone, because yesterday I used my husband's phone and I didn't have any problems. Like, mine was messing up and I got his and, like, just popped into a box and was talking, like, on his, and it was working completely fine while mine was going crazy at the same time. So
it's the devil coming in trying to block my story and helping people.
It absolutely is. I say that all the time. Like, I don't let him. I get frustrated with technology too. Like, and there's no other explanation, like, I really feel like it is the devil, or, trying to impede, because, like, technology should work. It's a freaking phone. It should work. Like, it should do, like, I'm sitting there and I'm tapping the button and I'm clicking it and it's supposed to work, like, and I get really frustrated, but then you're right. Like, it is really the devil. Hi, Facebook doesn't tell me who you are. It just says Facebook user. Thank you for watching. But yeah, like, it's crazy. But I do like it because it frustrates me. I'm like, dude, like, technology, it's a like, I'm clicking the button and it's not working, like it's supposed to be working. And all right, Tracy. So I said your bio a little bit before you got here. What you had sent me. So you start. I like to just let you start wherever it starts for you. If it starts in childhood, your addiction, wherever it starts. And then I kind of take notes, and then I'll pop questions as we go. And then when you get done, I usually fire a few questions. So.
Okay. It's a lot in all these years, especially 25 years, but I'll just start with, I was 13 years old the first time I drank. I can remember it so clearly. We went to this beer barn and I got blackout drunk the very first time. I don't remember anything that happened except we started doing it all the time. And everybody was smoking weed, so I was doing it too, and I wanted to hang out with all the cool people. And for the first time in my life, I felt pretty, smart, funny. I wasn't uncomfortable in my own skin. I finally felt comfortable just being around people. And I mean, that just continued a nightmare. But my mother struggled with mental illness. So she was kind of checked out my whole life. She also struggled with addiction herself. Of course, she was, like a socialite, and she would do all the pills and stuff and drink wine, and it was okay. It was socially accepted. My dad was a workaholic, and I didn't see him very much. So we pretty much raised us ourselves. I always stayed in trouble. I was always getting in fights, going to jail, going to
alcoholic or a workaholic?
Yeah.
Both?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if I heard aholic and I didn't know which. Okay.
Yeah. No, my dad was just a workaholic, not, he didn't drink or do anything, but my mother was an addict and an alcoholic. But, we didn't know because she kept it on the download. And plus, she stayed in bed most of my life. I didn't know what she was struggling from. She has Munchausen by proxy, which, if you know what that is, it's a pretty harsh disease. It's a mental illness where, I don't know if y'all saw the gypsy story. Her mother had Munchausen by proxy, where you make your children sick in order to get sympathy from people. It is a mental illness. It's Munchausen by proxy. And I didn't know what that was until just a few years ago in recovery. I didn't know what was wrong with her. I just knew something was wrong with her. She wasn't like all the other parents that were taking care of their kids. And I just stayed in trouble a lot. I had to go to detention a lot. I got kicked out of school and they put me in alternative school. And I didn't finish school. I met my husband, my first husband. Now I have several. When I was in high school, I was 15 years old when I met him. And he abused me from the very first time I met him. I mean, he was violent and a drug addict and a drug dealer, even in high school. And we did pills. We did meth in high school. We did all the things that kids do. I mean, I was just hanging out with everybody that was doing all the things that I wanted to do, the places where I felt the most comfortable. We were 15 and 16 years old going to bars. And back then, you got in. It wasn't hard to get into these bars. You weren't carded, so to speak. Or
I know. I hung out at a bar, 14, 15 years old, 16. And it was just, my dad was with me. So it was definitely okay. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it was okay. So that's just what I did. I got married. No, let's go back. I got pregnant when I was 17. So my mother was, my mother and father were trying to keep me away from this person that I got pregnant with. So they sent me away to a foster home to put the baby up for adoption. They came to see me one time. I've never felt so abandoned in my whole life. So that was I guess that's the first time that I ever felt abandonment. When I had the baby, Sid and his parents came to the hospital and said that I could come live there and I could keep my baby. So of course that's what I was going to do. I mean, his parents were so cool. He got to go to bars and drink, and my parents were very strict, very strict. I stayed grounded and always in trouble. My dad would take me to jail and himself, trying to get some control of me. My brother was younger than me, and he struggled with the same thing I did. And I have a sister that doesn't struggle with addiction at all. So she's just lived in this nightmare with my brother and I for many years. But going back to Sid and getting pregnant and keeping the baby, and my mother coming to the hospital and telling me if I kept that baby that she did not have a daughter named Tracy. So I didn't speak to my parents for 2 years, and we continued to, when living with his parents is when I first started doing pain pills really bad. His mom was a nurse, so she would have these big bottles, and she'd had a couple of heart surgeries. She'd have like these huge bottles of pain. They used to just give them to you in like 500 a time. So she would give them to us, and we would steal them from her. Plus, we would.
Did she use, like, was she doing them as well? The mom?
Not really. No, not really. No, but she was always giving them to Sid because he played football and he got hurt and I'd had a baby, so, and my toe would hurt, my tooth would she was
Yeah.
always giving them to us for whatever. I
You
learned
think
at a
she
very,
meant well, or like,
I think she did mean well. She didn't know. She
right?
didn't know that we were
Addiction wasn't like a big thing back then. You didn't know, in pain pills
No.
especially. Yeah.
That was 30 years ago. I mean, I was a kid, and back then pain pills were not, opiates were not a problem like they are now. Nobody knew. I didn't know. I didn't have any idea what I was getting myself into.
Did his
But it-
parents know that you guys were like running around and drinking and doing the hard drugs and all that stuff?
Yeah, they did. But they didn't ever do anything. They weren't very strict. They didn't care. We just did it. And they didn't have any control over Sid anyway. He was very violent and very they were scared of him.
Yeah, I dated that guy as well when I was in my very first relationship, where his parents just couldn't even, you know what I mean?
Couldn't handle it.
I saw him
couldn't handle
slap
him.
his dad in the face with a leather belt one time, and
Yeah, him and his dad fought all the time. His dad was scared of him, and his mother was scared of him. He was he abused me for years, but that's a part of the story where he even convinced me to attempt suicide one time with him. He was psychologically, physically, every way abusive that you can think of. He was, and I didn't know about this stuff. My parents were very strict. They kept me, I didn't get to watch TV. If I got to watch TV with my parents, it had to be with my parents in the room because they were so strict. So when I got out into the world and I was going to keep this baby and go live with him, I really did think it was me, that I was the problem and that something was wrong with me. I'd never heard of domestic violence or being abused by someone else. I didn't see that with my parents. So I didn't really know what was going on. And I ended up having 2 more children with him. But one time I did leave because I only had one son with him. Let's see. I'm going to try to go back to this. Drink, smoke, weed. First husband was 15 when started. Okay, I'm trying to go back to staying in line.
it's really hard for me to stay. Like, I have to do the same thing, like where I have to write it out when I'm gonna share, because I did the like chaos for so many years. Like when I like have to sit and think about it, and I'm like, oh no, this was before that, and this and that, and
yeah, I don't want to mess it up because there's so much. Okay, when I was when we went to the hospital, my mom kept me. Mom and dad came to. Okay, I started heavy pills, started pain pills, crystal meth. Okay, when I was 19, I went to jail for dealing ecstasy. Stayed in jail for 3 months, got probation. Then Sid abused me daily. When my son was 2, my parents came there and came and got me, and I went back with them. And this happened over a couple of years, the back and forth. I had 2 more kids with him. He continued to deal drugs, meth, ecstasy, and we used ecstasy and meth and pain pills. Let's see. I started doing pills really bad. That was my thing. We would do ecstasy all the time and meth, but I really liked the pain pills, and I would take up to 20 at a time, even years ago. And these were the strong pain pills too, like oxys. Then I went to live with my parents. I had 3 children, and I went to live with my parents. I left Sid. First, I went to live at a shelter because my parents were afraid of Sid. He burnt the bushes down around my parents' house. And he would just terrorize my family too, because they wouldn't let me talk. They wouldn't let him talk to me. It was just a nightmare all those years with him, and it's kind of a blur. But I finally got away from him after having 3 children with him. But that's really when the
thank
madness.
God.
Yeah, I'm grateful I got away from him, but that's the madness really started then because I was 21 and I had 3 kids. And I lived with my parents. I started partying and I met my second husband in a bar
Look, Ron.
where we were going every night. I mean, we might have not gone one night a week. And I was going to college, living with my parents, 3 kids, working at Walmart.
Wherever you pick your.
And that's when I met my second husband. But we ended up getting married pretty quick. I'm I'm not, I don't stay in boyfriend girlfriend very long. You know, it's we're gonna get married and start a family and start your life and then head.
Someone recently said that. Oh, they said I don't date well. I met my
No.
I can't remember who it was, but one of my recent guests, they said the same thing.
No, I don't date well either because I want to get my life as a living, you know, how we hear about the princess and she lives off in a castle and
Sweeps her off of her feet, like
yes, I have dreams of this amazing life, but that I have now. But for years, that's what I would try to do. I would try to because I heard about, you know, my dad read me these stories of these princesses that went off and lived this amazing, beautiful life. And I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to go off into the sunset and start my amazing, beautiful life that I really thought that's my idea of what real reality looked like.
Yeah.
But gosh, my second husband and I, that's when I started doing meth really bad because he started doing it really bad. He was doing it all the time, so I was doing it all the time. And I started having like moments of no clarity. I wouldn't know who I was or who you were. And I know it was from staying up days at a time because that's what I would do. I would think that people were coming to get me, people were going to hurt me. I was very paranoid. I was the tweaker. I was the person that tore a hole in the blinds. That was me. I tore up phones. I tore up carpet. I tore up walls. I tore up furniture. When people came in my house, I was just paranoid because Bubba had gone to jail already a couple times. And when people would come in our house, I'd make them take their clothes off because I was paranoid they were, you know, coming in to get us. But that was a lot of years insanity. And of course, I went to treatment several times through those years. But after Bubba and after that time with him, I'll tell you how it ended with him. The second husband, they came to my house, the cops, the DEA, they came to my house, made my children get out in the street. They tore my kids' toys up. They tore my house up. They had dogs sniffing my children in the street. All 4 of them, because I had had a daughter with him too. So I had 4 children at this time. And I was 24 at that time. I remember it so clearly. And I don't remember a whole lot about all the stuff that went on, but there are these times in my life that flash back to me. And that is one time that flashed back. It really hit me hard. So I went to treatment it was like the 5th time. And I stayed because all the times before I never stayed. I'm not doing this. I mean, I don't have a problem. I never believed that I had a problem. Nobody really talked to me about what you do when you get out of treatment. How do you deal with life? Like they would talk to you about the stuff that happened before, but how am I going to deal with life without using? That just was not a possibility for me. So, going back to me going to treatment, I met my 3rd husband in treatment that time. And we got married very quickly. When I got out of treatment, went and collected all my kids from the people they were staying with, and we moved 2 hours away from where I'd been living. So I didn't think that I didn't worry about meth anymore because that was the last time that I had ever done meth. Once I got out of that psychosis and got a clear head, I never used meth again. I was like 28 years old at that time. And I never did another Xanax either because I had 7 seizures coming off of Xanax in treatment that time. I could not. That's why they tell you that Xanax and alcohol are so dangerous, because to get off by yourself. And I had to be medically detoxed slowly in a hospital and then go to treatment. But I started going to church, and I really thought that that was what was going to save me, but it didn't. That's not what saved me, because I had a toothache and they gave me some pain pills. And then that started the madness of me going to doctor shopping. And I didn't think anybody knew because it was prescribed to me anyway. I would start having neck problems. They did neck surgery, knee surgery. I had my gallbladder taken out because I went to the ER with my stomach hurting and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. So surgeons just do surgery when they can't figure out what's wrong with you. That is the truth. Pharmaceuticals and doctors are just a big problem.
I'm going through that now. Yeah, I agree. Like if they can't figure it out right away, then they just jump to whatever. You know what I mean? Like
they jump to giving you pain pills or doing a surgery, and both are not good options.
No.
But I did have.
While I'm talking, I want to just tell you, you're getting a lot of love from our TikTok family over here.
Oh,
your love, and you're so strong, and all of the things. So
I love everybody on TikTok, and I really love TikTok since I found it just a few months ago. I love my 12-step program, but I don't know. I've really found a love and it's a whole new kickstart of my recovery. But let's go back to where I was going to church and going to trying to keep it all on the down low, me taking all the pills and going to the doctors. I had a calendar. I literally had a calendar that had my doctors that I went to and my pharmacy. I had a calendar for my pharmacies, so I didn't go to the same pharmacy. I mean, that's how you could do years ago. You could
they weren't connected. Yeah.
They were not connected.
They only knew what they gave you. You know what I mean? Like they wouldn't give it to you. So, you know what I mean? Yeah, I know. I've been there, girl. I was young, really young doing that, but I
did it for years. So I got really good at it. And I got really sick. And a lot happened. I had several treatments, several trips to several overdoses. I had a really bad car wreck where I flipped my car 5 times. And when I got home from that car, I had a broken leg, a broken neck, and broken ribs. And I immediately just went right back to taking pain pills because, I mean, of course, everything was broken. So I was in pain.
Yeah.
But the thing about being in real pain, if you've been taking pain pills, then it doesn't help the pain. So I was suffering, but I was intoxicated. So I was still in pain, but still taking the pain pills. It's what happens when you take pain pills already and something happens to you like that.
Yeah, you build up a tolerance.
That's what happened. I was going to church. I mean, Leanna, I was getting on my knees and I was crying out to God and begging him. Every time I think of this, it just makes me I was just begging him to please make it stop, make the addiction stop. I really wanted to be a good mother, and I didn't want to be in psych wards, in padded rooms. And I had electric shock 11 times, them trying to make all the insanity stop. But also, I wasn't being honest with them about my addiction and how much I was really taking. Because, like again, it wasn't all connected back then. The doctors didn't know who was giving who what when. So, and I had gotten really good at it. So if I'd have been honest with these doctors when I went to the psych wards, because they diagnosed me with everything, you name it, personality disorders, bipolar, and they put me on medicine too. And if I'd have been honest with them about my drug addiction, I would have gotten the help I needed, I'm sure. But of course, I couldn't be honest with it because wasn't willing to say out loud that I'm a drug addict. I wasn't there yet. And also,
It
I
was
just
so
wasn't.
hard back then too. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like it wasn't a big thing. Like now it's kind of like not accepted, but like there's sympathy for addicts and understanding. But back then there was not. Like,
No, no.
you know,
That's why I talk about shame. And in my book, I talk about no more shame. There was a lot of shame and guilt. And I didn't want to come out and say that I needed help because I felt so much shame around it. Like, but when I got arrested, I got a prescription fraud. I got arrested in the pharmacy in town. This is so crazy what happened. It's got to be God that had what happened because I circled and I don't even remember this. This is what made me go to treatment this last time. I don't even remember circling that prescription in blue. It was written in black, but I circled it in blue. So that's what got me caught. A prescription written in black and then circling it in blue. Well, that had to be God because I mean they all came swarming in the pharmacy and threw me down on the ground like I was some criminal. But when I got out of jail from that, the night I went home, I don't know if I can talk about suicide on here. Can I? Okay. I attempted suicide for the first time. Um, because I felt like I couldn't stop the insanity of my addiction and I didn't know that that's what it was. And because I had tried everything, my own will and power was not working. So I felt like suicide would be the best way to make the insanity stop. And it would be the best thing for my kids and my family and everybody involved because I was the tornado of your life. That is what addiction did to me and everybody in my life. So I came home and I took a whole bottle of 200 extra strength Tylenol, the whole bottle. And everybody was gone. My husband worked offshore because we didn't. I didn't even tell you about the fourth husband. Yeah, one, two, three, four. The fourth husband that I met in church. Whenever I started going to church, and I got divorced from my third husband, I immediately met somebody that I was renting from and we got together, got married, and we were together 16 years. I mean, the whole 16 years that I was with him is a blur. That's why I just say it was psych wards, padded rooms, jail cells. A lot happened in all those 16 years that I was with him. And that's why I say I am the tornado that came through everybody's life. I knew that so that and I didn't think that could come back from an arrest like that and being on the front page. Arrested mom, in town for prescription fraud.
right.
And then I had to go to jail. I had to get,
Did you live in a small town?
I lived in a small town. So it was
Yeah,
all over for
everyone
me.
knew.
And being raised the way I was raised, my parents just had a high standard of what I was supposed to be. and I didn't live up to their standards. Heck, from the moment I got pregnant and they sent me away. But I really thought that that would be the best way to handle everything. And plus, I was so sad. I was so hopeless. That's the word, not sad. I was hopeless. I had no hope that it was ever going to change. It was in 2009. Well, my daughter had already resuscitated me from an overdose. She was 15 at the time. It was the first time she had to resuscitate me. That was just a part of the madness that was my life. And that suicide attempt, I thought I would be better for all my kids, especially the 15-year-old. She was the baby because I had hidden it from my kids. You know, they didn't really know till they got into high school. I hid it pretty good most of their life, just trying to keep up and hide it from everybody. But after that, I had that first suicide attempt. I was in ICU for 7 weeks. They told my family that I would not probably wake up, and that if I did, I would be brain damaged. But I woke up, and Leanna, I was so pissed off. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, y'all are, why would you save me? I started ripping out my IVs, and they had to strap me down. And um, um, I couldn't get up and walk, but I could move the top part of my body. I couldn't talk, so I was grumbling. But in my brain, I was like, why did y'all save me? That's what I was thinking. But they couldn't understand me because I couldn't talk. They had to teach me how to talk again, to walk again. They had to teach me how to like feed, get my hand up to my mouth and feed myself. But that was after they unstrapped me because I'd stayed strapped for a couple of weeks. They were like, I remember a nurse coming in there and saying, now, if I unstrap you, are you going to pull these IVs out and you're going to do what physical therapy wants you to do? And I would be like, yeah, be so sweet. I'll do it. But then the minute she would try to unstrap me, I would start trying to get up, and I fell out of the bed one time. It was a horrible experience. I remember it because I wasn't high, and they knew that I had been abusing drugs. So they weren't going to give me a whole lot of anything there because, they'd seen it before. But I had to learn how to walk. I did learn how to walk. Even though they told my family that I would, if I did wake up, that I would not walk or talk, that I would be brain dead. I learned how to walk again, talk again. But that wasn't enough to stop me. When I got out and got home, which was 4 months later, it took 4 months of rehabilitation in the hospital, I immediately started using again. I started going to all the doctors because they didn't know. Like I said, it wasn't all connected. So I went right back to that insanity of taking pills, and I attempted suicide again. And then they put me in the hospital. They put me straight in the hospital as I got out of the they put me straight into a mental hospital as I got out of the hospital from that suicide attempt. But I tried a suicide one more time. I tried 3 times, and I felt like, heck, I can't even do that right. I just don't want to live any. I did not.
God wanted you here, ma'am. God wanted you here.
Well, now I know that, but at that point, I didn't know what was going on. Why am I still here? I am a nightmare in my children's lives. If at all that. I mean, when I think back over those years and some of the stuff that happened, like some of the insanity of all the years, and just the end on end, day after day after day of using, trying to figure out where I was going to get it and how I was going to use it for this situation or that situation, just always having to figure out how I was going to use every day. I woke up and that's what I did. I wasted so many years of my life. The very last time that I used, my daughter had to resuscitate me again. And that was after years of treatment and her having to find me just wasted. And my husband worked offshore, so he wasn't there a lot. But he drank when he wasn't home, and I don't blame him. He had to deal with me and those 4 kids, and they weren't easy to deal with either. They had their own issues, and that's their story to talk about. And, you know, in recovery, I have healed from a lot of shame and guilt, but that is one thing that it's hard to recover from is the guilt and shame that I have. And they have forgiven me, my kids, but I made decisions that will forever affect their lives negatively. Forever. And they're going through their own traumas because of the trauma that I caused. I can never take that away from them. It doesn't matter how strong my recovery is, how many years I stay in recovery. I did what I did, and they're going to have their own journeys to heal from because of it. So it's really hard for me to sit back and watch. Even though we forgive you, Mom, they're still going through their stuff, even as adults. That's something that's really hard to see. But okay, the last time I used was March 12th, 2012. My daughter had to resuscitate me. When I woke up in the hospital and saw the look on her face, and they told me, they were standing right there, your daughter had to resuscitate you. The guy that brought me in with the ambulance, he told me that your daughter had to resuscitate you. If she hadn't, done what she'd done, you probably wouldn't be here. And, they all had an attitude because I'm a drug addict, right? They were disgusted with me, and as disgusted as I was with myself too. But from that
Did
moment,
they treat you really bad at the hospital?
oh man, they always treated me bad.
I know.
I didn't care. I didn't care.
I had my oldest daughter. I was in prison for drugs. You know what I mean? But I of course, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But like they treated me like crap, like really big crap, and I was like, oh.
They treat you really bad, and
really bad. Yeah.
Even now, if I go there I have lupus, so if I have to go for a flare, they automatically think that you're, and I don't even live in the same place. So these people don't even know me, but they automatically think people are coming in to get something for pain so they can get high, not, just not for the pain. But that was March 12th of 2012. I was 42 years old. I didn't think that I had any more life in me at 42. I really thought my life was over. But I went to treatment. My daughter begged me to go to treatment in the hospital. So I left from the hospital and went to treatment. And I stayed the whole time. And when I got out, I had the most amazing counselor who was in AA. She was a prostitute who went to school to be a counselor, and she was, bad on drugs. So she was the first counselor that I listened to because I knew that she knew where I was. I knew that she knew how I felt. She told everything she told me, all the work she did. I still have all the work that I did in treatment that time. And it was a lot. I did a lot of writing. And I'm really proud that I did because it's helped me with this book that I'm writing. I remember her now just to this day, Tricia. She told me to go to AA. She said, you do 90 meetings in 90 days. I didn't do 90 meetings in 90 days. And anybody that knows me will tell you I went to a meeting every day for 5 years.
Woo!
5 years. Sometimes 2 meetings a day. When you go somewhere and you feel hope for the first time since you were a little kid, those people loved me. When they say we'll love you until you can love yourself, that's what they did. And I didn't have a consciousness of God. I had done the whole religion thing, spiritual thing. That didn't work for me. So I really didn't even, I saw all the steps on the wall when I went into the rooms, and the God stuff was like just a part of everything these days. I mean, so I just rolled with it. But the room was my God at first. Now, of course, I have found, you know, God is my higher power. But the rooms were my higher power. And they told me that was okay. If I wanted those people in there to be my higher power, that's was okay. So I latched on to those people. I got a sponsor. I worked the steps and I worked them pretty quickly because they told me if I didn't want to be in pain anymore, to work the steps. I didn't sit on it when I got in there. And I believe that's why I've been able to get 13 years in recovery.
Woo!
I started helping women and sponsoring women, and I sponsor women now all around the state, and
Woo!
even a couple on TikTok. Since I've been on TikTok,
Yes, ma'am.
I have figured out how to I buy them the books and I send it to them and I tell them what to read. We talk on the phone. I didn't think it could work because I feel like you need a sponsor that you can see face to face and hug, and I feel like you need in-person meetings, and that's just for me. I needed it because I needed to have that community. I needed them to be able to hold me, and because we did a lot of hugging, and it taught me how to show love too. I didn't know how to show love because nobody ever showed me love. I'd been in all my relationships were not as bad as the first, but they were bad. They were abusive in every way. And I just didn't think that life could get any different than that. So I divorced my husband about 3 years in because he wouldn't stop drinking. We were together 16 years. And I wanted to stay sober, and it was really hard to stay sober and go to meetings and do everything that I was supposed to do and be married to him. But I felt like also he enabled me to use. He all worked offshore and he was always gave me money. He knew what I was doing and never really stepped up to stop me. It was always my sister or my kids. He just worked and stayed over in his little corner and drank and gave me, he enabled me. So I stayed because that's where I felt comfortable. But I got uncomfortable in recovery because they tell you when you get uncomfortable, that's when you get better. Well, that is so true. When I start getting uncomfortable, I know I'm about to grow. And I learned that in AA. Or any 12-step program, because there's steps to go by. It's a foundation that you can build off of. And I had to have that so I could figure out how to manage life because my life was unmanageable and I was powerless over everything. I didn't know that you have to surrender to win. I thought surrendering to it would mean that I was giving up, like with my suicide attempt. I didn't know that I could actually surrender to something and realize that I'm powerless over everything and everybody. There's a place in the book that I love so much, and it says we have to cease fighting everything and everyone, because that's what I did. I wanted to control everybody and everything in my life. I'll tell you what changed when it changed for me was the third step prayer. I got on my knees with my and I knew we were going to get on our knees because everybody had been talking about it when they shared. So we got on our knees and started doing the third step prayer. And I was like, wait, relieve me of the bondage of myself. Now listen to that. Bondage of myself. I thought my bondage was alcohol and drugs. I really thought that's how I prayed for years. God, relieve me of the bondage of alcohol and drugs. Well, that third step prayer changed everything for me because you mean I'm the problem? And I stopped her in the middle of the prayer. I'm not going to lie. And I said, wait a minute. I thought drugs and alcohol is my problem. And she just quietly, I still remember, she said, yes, Tracy said, let's finish the prayer. She said, The good news is there's a solution. And there's a chapter in the big book that says there's a solution. And I love it so much because there is a solution. And when I admitted that I was powerless over alcohol and drugs and that somebody bigger than myself, which is God, could change my life, that's step 1, 2, and 3. I can't, he can, and I'm going to let him. And that's what I do still. The 4th step, when anything comes up, when I have a resentment or an agitation, I know how to manage it because I work the 4th step. I know that when something comes up in life, if I'm agitated or irritated or any of the things that are negative, I definitely have a part in it. And if I can figure out my part in the situation, I can quickly make amends and move on with life. It just is gone. I wish that somebody would have taught me that in like 4th grade. I think they should teach the steps in like 4th grade. So to give people coping mechanisms for life. And I think that's why so many people are starting to really jump in, and recovery is the vibe. And because it wasn't when I first got sober, but it is now. It's like a big deal. And it's so exciting to me.
It
It's
is
so
so
exciting to me. I love seeing it on social media, and everybody just loves everybody so much. I love that so much. I worked at a treatment center when I first got sober too for 3 years. That was connected to drug court, and I was putting people in treatment, taking the driving. I mean, because I was being of service. That's something the 12th step tells you. They tell me if I don't give it away, I can't keep it. So,
Woo!
girl, I'm like, who the fuck can I
Yeah.
help today?
I know.
I'm still like that. Like, who can I help today? Because I do believe that it's karma. What comes around goes around. It's just life. It's how it happens. So everybody's helping everybody in our community. And so I went after I did and I met my husband now. He has 22 years in recovery. I
Woo!
met him in AA, and we met in 2016. We got married in 2018, and we moved here to Meadville in 2020. And we opened up a body shop, which has always been his dream. Because when you hear crackhead, he was a real crackhead. He found himself behind a dumpster in New Orleans, living behind a dumpster in New Orleans. He lost everything several times, but now he's managed to get 22 years in recovery from crack and alcohol. But this is what he says when people ask him what he was addicted to, and he tells them crack, whiskey, and whores. Oh, because he said that was his life, before he got into recovery. So he had like 11 years when I met him, and I had 5 years. And he helped me. It costs a little bit to go to get my CCAR certification to be a recovery coach, but he helped me go to Florida to get certified, CCAR certified, so I could actually get paid to do interventions. And I know there's a big, why are you getting paid to? Well, I wanted to have some income to help my husband.
Yeah.
And I'm good at it. I'm good. I love interventions because I love working with the families. I love placing people in. I love talking people into getting sober and clean. I love it. I love sharing.
I didn't know that's what you did. I didn't know that's what that meant. Like, I read your little bio, but I had no real idea what that even was. I didn't know. That's really cool.
Yeah. Like you see on TV, interventionist, that's exactly how it works. Yeah. And so I went to get certified to do that. And I had to go to Florida for, I don't know if it was 2 weeks or 2.5. Anyway, it was, I had to go there and go to school every day to get certified to do that. And so I travel around taking people to treatment. It kind of slowed me up like 2 years ago because I got diagnosed with lupus. It just hit me. and I got really sick 2 years ago. So it's really slowed down my recovery. So that's why I started getting on social media, and I would just like follow along because I'm kind of shy. And now I've started jumping in there and I really want to start doing my own live, but everybody else has got lives that I can go into. So I don't know what's going to come out of it. My book should be out this year. No More Shame, my story, my journey from victim to victorious. And then the blurb is, when shame said stay down, grace said get up.
Woo!
That is the story of my life still today. I'm not going to let shame strike me down or you down, Leanna, or anybody else that I love. And whenever I find out that somebody's in recovery, whether they're in recovery or struggling with addiction and not in recovery, I love people. I love drug addicts. I do. I have a heart for people who know what it feels like to live in a dark hole that they can't get out of. We all have a connection like that. Like we know what it feels like to feel hopeless. And some of us do, take our own lives, and some of us don't come back from that. We are not here. But the fact that God gave me his grace, I want to use every day of the rest of my life, and I do, to show him how grateful I am that he saved my life and gave me my husband and my children and 13 grandchildren who adore me.
Woo!
They've never seen me use.
Yes,
ever.
ma'am.
And
I love that.
People, how people say you can't get sober for yourself, you have to get sober for yourself, not anybody. Well, I did get sober for my first granddaughter. That's, they were telling me if you don't go to treatment, you can't hold the baby. And I never got to hold her the whole first year of her life. So I went to treatment that time in 2012 because of both of my daughters. My one daughter that had the kid that she wouldn't let me hold, who is my heart. Now she's 15 years old. I just have the most amazing, beautiful life. I mean, I can't, if I'd have wrote down what I thought my life was going to be like today, if I'd have wrote that down when I first got sober, I'd have cut myself way short. So that is the story kind of in a nutshell.
I love it. Yeah, right on time. We're just like an hour, 10 minutes, but that's fine. We took a little bit to get onto, so that was really good.
We did.
Tracy, that is an amazing story. Wait, you said when shame said stay down, grace said
get up.
Get up. Okay, I wasn't sure if that's what it was or not.
Grace said get up.
Description. So I would love to have you back one time too to talk like about the book specifically a little bit and all of that. Like if you would like, if you
when it comes out, when it's done being published and done, I'll definitely come back and talk about the book.
Absolutely. So just a few questions. Oh, your mom. You said your mother that you lived. She had Munchausen. How's it go?
Munchausen by proxy.
So what was that like living with her? Like just an example, kind of like what she would do.
She always took us to the doctor, and she was always telling the doctor that stuff was wrong with us that wasn't wrong with us. She took me to psych doctors very early, and had me on Valium at 11. I mean, what 11-year-old needs to be on Valium? But my brother had a surgery that he didn't need to have. She did it to all three of us, but she stayed in the hospital a lot too herself. It was not, I don't have a relationship with my mother today. She is still using. I told her when she gets ready to get sober to call me, and I will take her to treatment and pay for it myself.
Woo! My mom
But-
is in treatment right now. It's
Oh,
the first time
girl.
she's ever really been through treatment. I know she's been an addict my whole life, but she has some mental issues. So they've always kind of like let her out of jail because they don't want to deal with that shit, you know? And so now she had been on probation and she violated stuff, but she is in treatment for the first time ever. So
I'm praying for y'all, dude.
Yeah.
It gives me hope for my mom.
yeah.
My dad's in my life. I'm really close with my dad. I'm really close with my sister. I did step 9, made all the amends. When I made the amends with my sister, I said, I am so sorry for all the things that I did. I know she would talk to my kids about me and I hated her for it. But she started crying. She said, no, I'm sorry that I judged you and didn't believe in you. So now we're just very close.
I love that. And so do you feel like your mom and the situation with her is kind of why you let your first husband like abuse you? And
Oh, absolutely. Because I didn't know, you know,
Right.
it was that was my worth.
And I want to just touch again, like where you said, like when you got out of treatment, you didn't know what to do. And especially like I love now, like we're talking about like recovery being the new vibe and stuff, because treatment is so much more accessible and detailed in depth. They have like the sober livings and the aftercare programs and all this stuff, which wasn't a thing. And it definitely wasn't mandatory if they did have them. Like, when I went through treatment in 2012, like,
and I have resources if you ever need them or if anybody ever needs them, because that's what I do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to like we're compiling a resource list just to kind of have on hand for when people need it, because that's what, you know, that helping people. I never knew that, you know, the feeling and stuff that came from, I've never really done a lot of service work.
Isn't it?
Amazing. It's like a high of its own. I say that all the time. Sometimes people look at me like I'm crazy, but I'll come off these episodes like this one where I'm feeling good and your story was great. And I just feel like somebody heard it that needed to. And I'm like, I feel high, and people will be like,
I know, me too. Me too.
Can't help it.
That's
You know what I mean?
I think that's why I'm drawn to TikTok and going into these recovery labs, because it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
And you know, me with myself, I don't feel great a lot. I have to change the way I feel.
Yes. Someone on TikTok, Dan, he said service work is definitely that dose feeling in our brain. Absolutely.
Yes.
And you had so much love over here on TikTok.
Oh.
Shiloh's here, Ember,
Shiloh.
Keith. I mean, just so many people from our community, Dan, Mike. Awesome.
Well, now that I'm home, I can jump back in there with y'all. We just got back yesterday afternoon from a trip that I really wanted to give my husband the attention that he deserves. So he's probably in the bedroom listening now, but I'm going to jump back in with y'all probably today.
I love it. I'm so glad, Tracy. I said this the other day, like all of my guests this far have been great. Some of them are people that I knew like kind of in real life and stuff, but I'm really enjoying bringing people from my TikTok family over here and getting like some one-on-one time and getting to know you guys. Like it's really, it's really awesome to me. So I appreciate you being here. And anyone on TikTok that's listening, if you want to be on the podcast, shoot me a message, or Holly has my schedule actually.
Yep.
All right.
Love
Tracy.
me some Holly too.
Yeah, Holly is amazing. She is keeping me in line, lined out. I got my schedule mixed up and she's fixing it for us. But all right. Well, that is all, Tracy. Thank you so much for being here. Like I said, I hope to have you back sometime when your book comes out, or just anytime if you think of anything else that you'd like to share. I do a lot of different things on the podcast. Sometimes we'll talk about specifically relationships or just anything. If you have any ideas, I'm always open to them. Let me know. I love you. Thank you so much.
I love you too, Leanna.
Bye.
I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year, yeah. I really feel it's my time, think it's my pen ready. Used to hold myself back, my self-esteem damn bad. I gotta keep on chugging, ran through it.